It's TV stars that kill. Kill. I need a wee first, though. Give me a sec. So, here's a song. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to be watching TV Stars That Kill by Shrouded Hand. It should be interesting. Nice spooky season spooks.
Hello, everybody. Shrouded Hand here.
Hello, mate.
This is the 4th video I've done on this subject. But people seem to enjoy them, and each time I make one, I get a lot of suggestions for other murderers who have appeared on TV. So it seems like there's a lot of source material out there. I thought I'd go through the comments on the last video and look at some more TV stars who have killed people.
Okay, sorry, I don't know why I laughed at that. Oh, that's a good intro.
Gabriela M suggests Guilherme de Padua, a Brazilian actor who starred in a soap opera in the 90s called De Corpo e Alma.
Damn.
Guilherme played a character called Bira, who was in a relationship with Yasmin, played by Daniela Perez.
Oh dear.
On December 28th, 1992, Guilherme de Padua and his wife Paula Thomas ambushed Daniela Perez outside a gas station and bundled her into the back of a car.
Jesus.
They then drove her to a secluded location, stabbed her 18 times and dumped her body in some bushes. Forensic examiners say that she was stabbed with a double-edged dagger, but when questioned, Padua told them that the murder weapon was a pair of scissors, and his wife said that it was a screwdriver. Quite why they would admit to the murder but lie about the murder weapon is unclear, but there are rumours that black magic was involved in the slaying.
Black magic?
So perhaps they wanted to conceal the fact that a ritualistic dagger had been used in the slaying. They both practiced a spirituality called Umbanda, an Afro-Brazilian religion that worships dead slaves.
What?
They had a statue of a slave called Pai Chico in their home, and they would invite people round to hold spiritualist type seances. I don't mean to paint Umbanda as some kind of satanic cult that practices human sacrifice. Fairly well established religion in Brazil, but the tabloids back then were quick
that guy's
to
got
tie
swag.
their spiritual practices to the crime.
Jesus.
Earlier in the year there had been 2 quite high profile child killings that seemed ritualistic in nature. So perhaps this was Brazil's version of the satanic panic of the 80s, but the fact that Padua and Thomas attempted to conceal the dagger suggests that there was more to this crime than they were letting on.
Yeah.
The exact motive for the killing is unclear. Daniela Perez was the daughter of the show's writer, and so she got a lot of screen time that Padua felt was undeserved.
This feels like an Indian film.
When writers decided to end their on-screen romance,
Is it? I wasn't paying attention.
He became resentful and begged him to give him more scenes in the show. It could be that he killed Daniela in an attempt to boost his own profile.
Oh dear.
Another theory is that he had begun to develop feelings for Daniela, becoming unable to distinguish the fictional relationship of the soap opera from reality.
I guess that's one thing you got to give actors account for. Like, they have to pretend that they're madly in love with someone. And so I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes, you know, if these romances in the films actually do spag, because if you're that way inclined and like you're mentally a little bit unstable, you start to, like, the fuzziness of fiction and reality start to kind of like blur. And I don't know, I guess you could easily fall into that trap of actually feeling the feelings that you're not meant to feel. It's just all an act.
His wife became jealous, and so they both decided to kill her.
Damn.
During questioning, Padua changed his story many times. At one point he suggested that the actress had fallen in love with him and demanded that he leave his wife for her, although he denied this in later interviews.
Yeah.
He was eventually jailed, but spent less than 7 years behind bars. He has since been released and has written a book about his crime. He's now become...
Sorry, no, I wasn't laughing at this. I was laughing at the thought of me trying to put my leg behind my head. There was a comment on Twitch. I just had the thought of me trying to put it behind and then just falling off my chair.
Pastor of a church, and even has his own YouTube channel. And on a final note, while I was researching this crime, I found this show talking about the murder, I don't understand what I'm watching here. It's like it's a kid show with puppets, but they're talking about a brutal murder. It's very odd. I don't know what's up with Brazilian TV, but I thought I'd include that just because I thought it was bizarre.
Brazil, they see deaths like all day, don't they? Every day.
Sidiox754 suggested a couple of people from the Power Rangers franchise.
What?
They suggested one from an episode of Power Rangers in Space, but I couldn't find any information about this. I did find someone who appeared in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show for one episode, who went on to kill 3 people. So maybe that's who they're thinking of, or maybe there's another case that I can't find any info about. Skylar Delian, born John Jacobson Jr., starred as an uncredited character called Roger in episode 55 of season 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
My God.
He was 14 at the time, and his acting career never really took off after that.
Yeah, well, it's very dangerous getting into fame as a child.
He had difficulty memorizing his lines and struggled to find work. Eventually he became poor, and this led to a life of crime and ultimately murder.
Jesus.
A couple named Thomas and Jackie Hawkes were looking to sell their yacht, and Skylar approached them with his...
That looks like Sully from Uncharted.
then wife Jennifer Henderson.
That is literally Sully.
They said they were interested in buying the boat, so Thomas and Jackie offered to take them out for a test drive. They headed out of Newport Harbor in California on the 15th of November 2004. When the boat returned, Thomas and Jackie were nowhere to be found. Skylar and his wife and 2 other accomplices had tied the couple bound and gagged to the boat's anchor and thrown them overboard.
Jesus.
Skylar was found driving the couple's car a few days later, and
wait, they tied them to the anchor and threw them overboard. So surely that means they're being dragged along. Oh God, that's awful.
Arrested. During the trial, he was also found guilty of the murder of another man called John Jarvie. And from jail, he tried to arrange the murder of his own father and cousin, who were both witnesses in the man's murder. One strange detail in this case is that while he was awaiting sentence, he severed part of his penis with a razor blade whilst in his jail cell, and then tried to claim that he'd murdered the couple to raise money for a sex change operation. The other Power Rangers murderer was Ricardo Medina Jr.
Jesus, look at that man.
He played the Red Ranger in Power Rangers Wild Force. Then, 10 years later, he played a character called Decker in Power Rangers Samurai. On February 1st, 2015...
Imagine wanting to be like a serious actor, wanting to like portray some Greek mythology or something, or, Troy. Like, you wanted to be in that medieval era, Game of Thrones, you wanted to do that kind of thing, Vikings, and then they just hit you with, Power Rangers Samurai.
He stabbed his roommate Joshua Sutter to death. The murder weapon was described as a Conan the Barbarian type sword that Ricardo kept on his bedroom wall. According to him, he and Sutter had got into an argument when Sutter started to get aggressive towards him and his girlfriend. Ricardo and his girlfriend retreated into the bathroom, taking the sword with them for protection. Sutter kicked in the door and advanced towards him, at which point Ricardo stabbed him in self-defense.
Damn.
There are some details that make the self-defense plea kind of suspicious. Forensics found that the body was stabbed over 10 times, suggesting a frenzied attack rather than a simple defense, and there were inconsistencies in the statements given by Ricardo and his girlfriend. As there were only 2 witnesses as to what happened that day, the truth will never fully be known.
He's seen some stuff.
He's currently serving a 6-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter.
Voluntary manslaughter.
Einian J suggested Verpi Butte.
That sucks, doesn't it? Because if you're, I guess no, the difference between that case and actual like self-defense is the fact that he stabbed him 10 times. But would he have gotten less or nothing at all if it had just been one stab wound? Because it feels unfair that you're fighting for your life. Someone's coming at you and there's no other way. So you stab someone or whatever just to stop them from attacking or whatever, and you still get sent down for it. Because I guess it is still murder. It's just like, what are you meant to do? You either die or get sent to jail.
Starred in the Finnish version of Gladiators. Her gladiator name was Timanti, and she appeared in the 1994 season.
God damn.
She was the youngest gladiator on the show.
Look at these guys.
It's hard to find many details in English, so I'm relying on Google's auto-translate for a lot of this. I might get some of these details wrong, but I've translated them as best I can.
What the hell were they doing there?
Her crimes are pretty horrific, so it's surprising that she's currently out of prison. In 2002, Vepri and her business partner, Jan Hoevenen, murdered a man in her apartment, then chopped up the body. They cut off his head, his fingertips, they sliced off his tattoos, then they cut off his legs at the knees. For some reason they then cooked one of his legs in the oven and ate some of it. Butte's 2-year-old child was asleep in the room the whole time this was happening. When they were finished, they placed the body parts in plastic bags and dropped them in various places around town. At one point, Vepri went into a bar with the man's head in a plastic bag and showed it to her friends. But they assumed it was a waxwork and she was
Oh my god, what an actual psycho.
playing a prank on them. The crime went unsolved, and a year later, at a party in her apartment, Butte stabbed another man to death, then once again dismembered the corpse and disposed of pieces in trash cans around the town. As there was a few people in the apartment at the time, there were multiple witnesses, and so Butte and the accomplice Hoevenen were quickly arrested. They were both given a life sentence, but Butte only spent 15 years.
Like, this exists. That's what freaks me out about this. People like this exist where like in that head, like what I think about when I see her is she can see visually in her head what she did to these people. And she's real, she's there. You know what I mean? Like, you hear the story about what they done, and then you see the person who did it. It gives a whole freaking other, like, perspective to it.
Jail, as her sentence was successfully appealed, despite psychologists saying that she was at a high risk of reoffending.
Oh, how? Mate, she's cutting off people's legs.
I'm having a lot of trouble finding any clips of her on Gladiators. It seems that after the murders, people didn't want to upload any of the episodes with her in. So if anyone has any clips, let me know, but for now all I could find was this photograph.
Damn.
Thanks to everyone who suggested people for this video, and I had a load more suggestions, but I'm trying to keep this video short just because I'm having trouble with sleeping at the minute. I think it's all
I wonder why, mate. Jesus Christ, you're there searching up this stuff all the time. Mate, dude, what's your name? What's his name? Shrouded, you're doing a fantastic job, my dude. But Jesus Christ. I mean, I really do feel for YouTubers like this because their whole career is based off of other people's trauma and misery, basically. And they have to go through these stories, and surely that does something to the brain, to the psyche. You gotta hand it to them.
This virus stuff, I've had insomnia for about a week. My eyes just don't want to focus on the screen, so I'm considering taking a short break just to...
Take a short break, my man. Jesus Christ, you can't keep surrounding yourself like this. With things like this. I mean, he said it was the virus, but there's got to be some kind of deep-rooted thing that with all these... Then again, I watch stuff like this all the time. Jesus Christ. Well, anyway, there we go. That's Shrouded Hand. Let's sub to him as well. Fantastic video, dude. What?